welcome back to the second part of this three-part video series on your speaking voice. And I'm hoping that you've managed to find your optimal speaking pitch and you've been playing around with that part of your voice. If you haven't seen the first video, then please click below and go to part one, because the rest of it's not really going to make much sense until you've gone through the first video. So in today's video, we're going to look at the first part of optimal sound quality. Once we've found our optimal pitch, we then want to turn our attention to the sound quality. And in this video, we're going to look at the vocal cords themselves. Now, not literally, obviously, but in simple terms, we're going to look at, is your voice squeezed and tight when you talk, or is it quite light and airy? Now, you don't need to be a singing teacher or a vocal instructor to hear that in your own voice. You might need help to hear that, but I would imagine that if you record yourself speaking something, read something out, you'll be able to hear, or you probably will be able to feel it. It might just feel very tense and tight and constricted in your throat. Or it might just feel like there's a lot of air going through my voice when I talk. So you should be able to either feel it or hear it. And for some people, it's so ingrained in the way they talk that it's just a normal part of speech, so they might not be able to. So firstly, I would encourage you to record yourself speaking again and just listen back and just see, is it sounding really sort of strained or is it sounding really airy? And just have a listen. Now, what we're aiming for is somewhere in the middle, because that's really where your vocal cords are going to be vibrating more freely. So I recommend very strongly, and I said this in the previous video, that you do record yourself doing all of these exercises. It's very hard to hear things. What we sound like in our head and what we sound like to the rest of the world is different. So even if you think it sounds in a particular way, it probably doesn't sound like that. And it might sound better or it might sound worse. So record yourself at every stage. And it's so easy to do this nowadays anyway. Everyone's got recording devices on their phones. So just do that. And then that kind of helps you. The other way is also just to feel what your voice is doing. Now, for a lot of people, they are quite disconnected with their voice in that way. And they don't really think about how something feels. And particularly if it's very ingrained in the way you speak, you might just be used to your voice being quite constricted. And so that might just feel normal to you. But I really encourage you to start to really not only record yourself, but also start to think about how it feels when you talk. So I'm going to sort of demonstrate more of a squeezed voice, which is very sort of constricted and tight and, it's very like that. And it will feel quite tight and it will feel quite tense when you talk. And then the airy voice is, as the name suggests, there's a lot of air going through there. So it's going to sound very, very airy and very, lots and lots of air just coming through. And some people talk like that all the time. The thing is, from either of those positions, which are kind of the opposite end of a spectrum, it's very, very, very hard to get any power out of your voice in a very effortless and free way. Okay, so the first thing is to find the optimal pitch again. So that's really important because that's kind of your baseline pitch. So go back to that Go back to that place. Now, if you felt or you heard a constriction in your voice, like a tightness in your voice, what I'd like you to do is try and morph that into a mum. So I'm going to demonstrate this for you. So you would go mum, 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 mum. You want to feel a sort of buzzing around your face for this. So this means that the pressure is kind of coming off your vocal cords. So have a go. Mum, 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 mum. And you want to be as relaxed as you can through your jaw, through your neck. Everything really needs to be fairly relaxed. We don't want any tension anywhere in the body other than in the vocal cords. And so we want everything nice and relaxed. Keep the face relaxed, the jaw relaxed, the neck relaxed, the shoulders relaxed. and allow the jaw to just sort of drop. So mum, 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 mum. Now then what you might do is read something. So you might go, mum, 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 blah, 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 blah. And then you might even then progress on to modulating. So, mum, 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 mum. So then you might go up and down from that optimal pitch. Now, if your voice felt quite airy and light, and you felt like there was a lot of air going through, again from that optimal pitch, so it's really important that you start everything from the optimal pitch as best as you can, because it's going to be very hard to try and stay there for the whole time. But I'd like you to try morphing that ga 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 onto a ga. So there's a little bit of a bite in there, there's a little bit of an edge, a ga ga. So it's got that little bit of an edge. We're getting a little bit more oomph. That's the technical term. And again, you want to try and keep your jaw and your face and your shoulders and your neck and everything as relaxed as possible. And you really just want to focus on really articulating the word ga while keeping everything else relaxed. So, ga, 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 and see if you can sort of stay there as best as you can. Again, record yourself doing this, because it's so hard to hear in your head, and you might just hate what it sounds like in your head, and then when you listen back it will sound completely different. These are just a couple of simple exercises to get you going on this idea, and these are just really the tip of the iceberg in terms of what you can do and some of the exercises that I would do with people. But I wanted to give you a starting point and to kind of give you an idea of what you're trying to aim for, so you can start to build some awareness. So when we find this more balanced place, so we find the optimal pitch, we let go of that constriction, and we have a little bit more chord closure, so it's not quite so and airy, then we will feel our speaking voice free up. And again, this is just another layer. It's going to add more, it's going to allow more creativity and flexibility with our expression. So in the next and final video, we're going to look at the second part of optimal sound quality. So I hope you'll join me then.